that's the counter punch. Killing him, that's the counter punch.
All right, welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, this is Sports Talk on Atlantic Television Network. I will get started with some basketball news, and of course, it's all about the Basketball African League. And with a promising start, the Basketball African League River Supers are set to continue their domination, in this year's Basketball African League. And of course, a lot. When it talks about the five-time Nigerian champions, have reached a historic milestone at the Basketball African League, defeating APR of Rwanda with 86-82. With the victory, they become the first Nigerian team to win consecutive game at the Basketball African League. And this is cheering. And with the achievement, they followed earlier, defeating AS Donis of Senegal in the Sahara Conference. And all they need to do now is to put their heads up, win one more game, and that does it for the Sahara Conference. Mike.
Yeah. Definitely, good morning to our viewers out there. Yeah, I think for the Kingsmen, as they are popularly called, talking about Rivers Hoopers, it has been an impressive start for them in this year's Basketball African League. Winning two of their first two games, I think, is a great development. You know, in their first game, they actually won 77-68. In their second game, they followed up with that fine victory in the first game by winning 86-82. That is about 4-point disparity. So for me, I think it has been an impressive start for Rivers Hoopers. And I think with the quality that they've also added into their rank this season, they got about 5 new players, which have given them that strength, which have given them that depth and experience that was lacking in their first appearance, because, in their first appearance, they couldn't win even a single game. The second time we qualified due to the leadership tussle in the Nigerian Basketball Federation, we could not attend that very one. And this is their second official appearance in the BAL, and that is why they started preparation in earnest, acquired 5 new players, and these 5 new signings, they are making a great impact in the team so far. In their third game, I think they will be meeting with US Monastir, who is the defending champion. But then, looking at the start of the defending champion, it has not been very, very good for them. They've played 2 games and lost 2 of those games. And this, their third game against Rivers Hoopers, I think is going to be a very difficult one for Rivers Hoopers, because as a defending champion who have lost their 2 first games, they will also want to, start firing from all cylinders at the blast of the whistle to ensure that if they can clinch a victory in that very one, at least to redeem themselves, from their poor start so far. But then, I tell you, it's going to be a massive encounter, because Rivers Hoopers, they want to also continue in that, their impressive form so far. So for me, it promises to be mouth-watering. But then again, with the experience and the fine form of Rivers Hoopers, I think they are going to go through in that very one.
They will go through in the very one, and of course, we hope that Rivers Hoopers will do everything possible today. We've seen what transpired in the Nile Conference. We've seen what transpired in the Savannah Conference, and of course, we cannot also take away what will happen in this Kalahari, or what transpired in the Kalahari Conference. And for me, it's all about getting the first 2 teams have automatic ticket. One will go into playoffs, and we win the River Supers are pitched right now. It looks like they are in for a ticket. If they win their game, because they are holding their life in their hands now. They win all they need to do, win their game, and ensure that even if it's with small margin, they'll qualify automatically. And then the battle will not be whosoever comes second. Maybe APR or we're going to see AS Donis. But it looks like for US Monastir, they have lost 2 of their games so far. and that not encouraging. And of course, we saw how they were when they were defending champion in 2021. They won that particular edition. And last year, we saw how AS Tunis battled Al Ali of Egypt and Al Ali, and now the new defending champions of the Basketball African League. AS Tunis are runner-up, and they hope to do so well, in this particular one. So as runners-up, they want to hold their own tight to represent Senegal. But River Super seems to be the new name now, having done this majestic outing. And hope to see how far it goes. But then, away from that, let's see how far we'll talk about other issues in Nigeria. The NBA looks like another thing that we can talk about. But then, the playoffs, it looks like that has been concluded there, Mike.
Yeah, I think it has been concluded a few days ago, where Dallas Mavericks actually, got through. But then I think for Denver Nuggets, they still have a big mountain to climb because they lost their last game, and that keeps them in a very difficult position right now. Let's see if they can be able to turn that one around, because they actually lost their last game. So for me, I think game one for the NBA, we've seen some of a lot magical things. The Orlando Magic as well, they were not magical enough, as they also faltered. I think for me, it has been an impressive display in the NBA, because some of the favorite, the likes of Denver Nuggets, Orlando Magic, they are not living up to expectation. But then it is not done and dusted. I still hope that Denver Nuggets, the defending champion, they still have a lifeline in their return leg to see if they can be able to redeem themselves in that very one. Because as a defending champion, you need to be up there. Though their star man, talking about Nikolai Jokic, put up an impressive number 2 days ago, but then it wasn't good enough as they fell to the firepower of their opponent out there. But like I said, there's still a light at the end of the tunnel for Denver Nuggets to see if they can be able to redeem themselves.
Denver Nuggets, let's see how far it goes. Away from that, now let's talk some lovely and cheering news from Bayelsa State, and the staff of the Ministry of Sports Development are in cheering mood this morning, because it looks like there is a new return or a renewal of contract for Daniel Igali, who has been appointed as the Commissioner for Sports in the second term. And of course, it looks like the likes of Grace Alagwa, the head of sports in Bayelsa State, and Sir Braveman Wodi have heartily welcomed him back to his office as he resumes. And so this appointment is truly meritorious.
Definitely, truly deserving, because he did well in first, appointment. I think for me, the reward for hard work is even more, hard work as well. Daniel Igali, no doubt, he came on board in his first tenure. He did extremely well. He was able to at least develop sport right from the grassroots, not just in the area of his, advantage, where he has a wealth of knowledge, talking about wrestling, but sport generally. When you talk about Bayelsa State, I think they've been on the rise since Daniel Igali assumed office as the sport commissioner, and that is why the government deemed it necessary. The governor rather deemed it necessary to also reappoint him again the second time because of his impressive work out there. You saw the joy and jubilation, around the sport ministry house yesterday, where members, of the sport ministry came out in mass to also endorse him and also to give him their continuous loyalty and support out there. So for me, I think like I said earlier, Daniel Igali is one man who truly understands the need for sport development, and is doing everything possible to ensure that he continues to keep, put Bayelsa State on the map in terms of sport development here in the country. So for me, like I said, more reward for him, but then again, there's a whole lot of work to do at this point in time, because to whom much is given, I think much is also expected as well. But then, can he be able to live up to the expectation? Of course, yes. Looking at what he has been able to achieve in his first tenure, I tell you, he can also, even do more. And I know that he's going to do more, looking at his wealth of experience and his intention towards sport development. So for me, big congratulations for Daniel Igali.
Big congratulations for Daniel Igali, and I can tell you for sure that it looks like there is a harmonious relationship between him and the staff. And this is where, the commissioners are appointees of government and of the governor. Yeah. And their tenure is subject to the affirmation of the governor. But there are permanent workers, civil servants who are always there. So and sometimes these appointees of government do not understand that for you to blossom in sports, since the sports sector is our focus now, there should be a harmonious, cordial, and some sort of an easygoing relationship between the commissioner of sports and the working, because sometimes I mean you can't change it if there was no working relationship. I don't think that what we saw yesterday in Bayelsa would have come, because you need to see the faces. There's that expression of joy and happiness. Apart from his achievements as commissioner, the fact that this man, okay, it looks like they even wanted him more, and that should send a message to other appointees of government in sports that you cannot do exploit if you do not have cordial relationship with even the staff that you are working with.
Definitely, it's very, very important for you to achieve a success in whatever field you find yourself as an appointee. If you are not in tandem with the rest member of the office or offices that you are working with, I think you are not going to achieve that maximum result out there. And because of the cordial relationship that exists between the Commissioner of Sport, talking about Daniel Igali, and members of the Sport Ministry, that is why they came out in mass to also congratulate him yesterday. You saw the heart felt messages that they were able to send out to him out there. You saw the joy expressed in their faces out there. This is because they have been working in tandem, they have been working in synergy, they have been working in harmony to achieve a common goal, which is about sport development. And for me, it also speaks volume to other office holders, other appointees out there, that for you to achieve success, you must also carry members of the board, members of the ministry along, so that you can be able to, because no man can do it alone. Despite your expertise, despite your qualification, despite your experience, I mean, nobody is an island of himself. Therefore, I think it is very, very important as an appointee or as an office holder for you to be able to carry members of the ministry along, so that you help you to achieve a success out there. And then again, one other thing we must also take notice is about the fact that when you do well in whatever position that you are appointed, people will definitely crave for you to continue because you did pretty well. Unlike some persons that when their tenure is about to elapse, they start lobbying. Why? Because they are not too sure that they are going to retain the office because of their bad job so far, because of their disjointed relationship with members of the ministry. So for me, I think it behoves on every political appointee and office holders out there to always do the needful, because when you do the needful, it will speak volume for you. You don't need to go and start looking for endorsement. You don't even need to start lobbying. You don't need to look for even godfatherism for you to get to that place you want to, because your work will speak for you. And that is what we are seeing in the case of Daniel Igali.
Of course, we hope that that will be done. And you talk about pushing the team. I mean, ensuring that the government support will always go to national and international competitions, which we clearly saw too during his time. And one thing he said that's very striking is the fact that a comprehensive policy has been put in place, to monthly reward hardworking athletes in the ministry. And this is very important, because when athletes know that they are rewarded, because he's the commissioner of sports, he's not commissioner for wrestling this time.
Yeah.
Even if he's the president for wrestling,
yeah,
that's what a lot of person do. They favor some set of a particular sporting area, discipline, and forget that there are other sporting discipline. And for you to do well as a state, we've seen them compete highly in the National Sports Festival and all that. You need to have every athlete needs money. That's a concern. And I think in the business side of sports, this is very peculiar and a matter that does not need to be swept under the carpet. Sometimes they look at athletes as not they are not civil servants, but they are working for the state day in, day out. They should have a contract, even if it is not a permanent contract like the civil servants. But they should have something that keeps them going, that they are proud to say, I am an athlete from Bayelsa State. And that's what the man has come to do. The policy, if approved, I think it will really go a long way to motivate. I won't be surprised what Bayelsa will come up with in the next sports festival.
Sure. I truly agree with you on this regard, because as an athlete, they don't have any other source of income. And for me, most of them, they have their own responsibility. Some of them are breadwinners in their family. They depend a lot from the state government, because they can't be putting so much effort to ensure that they put the state on the map out there. And at the end of it all, they don't end up being rewarded adequately for their hard work so far. I think for me, this is a good initiative. If it is approved, I tell you, every average youth out there will want to take part in one sporting activity or the other, knowing fully well if you do so, then there is a great reward for you. Not just the transient one where you just maybe you are recognized anytime there is any major competition out there, you get to win 1 or 2 gold medals out there before you are rewarded. But time and time, maybe monthly or quarterly, there is a budgetary allocation for some of these sportmen and women, and say at the end of the month, have this. I mean, it goes a whole long way to encourage them, and that will also help them to continue to improve on their skills out there. So for me, I think it's a lovely idea, and I believe they are trying to borrow from the World Athletic Body. You know, the World Athletic Body as well have deemed it necessary to also put monetary attachment to some of the athletes. They know the reason why they are doing this. They want to encourage the athlete to continue to perform optimally at the highest level without any regret. So for me, I think it's a nice idea, one that must be commended, and I believe with his wealth of experience, because he has won the shoe before, he knows where it pinches, and that is why he's exploring every available option to ensure that the welfare of sportsmen and women, the welfare of athletes is properly taken care of, so that they can do even more for the state and the country at large.
And away from that now, let's talk about some athletics news. And the president of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, AFN, Chief Tinubu Okokowa, says the board is happy with the superlative performance of Team Nigeria at the 2024 World Athletics Relay in Bahamas. After winning 2 tickets on day 1 of the World Athletics Relays in Bahamas, Nigerian athletes ensured that the job was completed on Sunday night, picking 2 more tickets in women's and men's 4x100-meter relay. This victory ensured that the men's team returned to the Olympics after 16 years absence, just as the women will make their 9th straight appearance. Now, this is funny. In the one, I saw the likes of Consider Kene, you know, the big guys were not able to, you know, pick the ticket, and that was it was a sorry moment for them. When I heard them, you know, interact in their post-race briefing. But the good thing is that they came strong and were able to do the needful, you know, in the second game. Because at that time, the likes of Jamaicans, the likes of the US and all that, you know, were really battling so hard, and the competition was intense. But I'm happy that for the first time in 16 years, we're able to get to see our team bouncing back, doing the needful, picking the ticket. 4 tickets right now. I think it's something sharing. No surprises why Okowa is brimming with all form of joy and happiness.
Definitely very impressive display, and they did this in a very magical you know, fashion, because they came second against the likes of United States of America, who is a world power, with just about 2.5% seconds, you know, disparity. That is
that's very close.
Timing very, very close for a country such as United States of America, that they are the big weights there. So for Nigeria pushing them down to the world, I mean, this is a clear statement of intent, what they intend to do out there when the Paris Olympic game officially kicks off. I think for me, it's a great one. The encomium that is being poured upon them across different sectors, I think they truly deserve it, because they've done the nation proud. And I believe if they can continue in this fine footing, heading to the Paris Olympic game with a proper preparation and planning, I tell you, we'll definitely come back home smiling.
Come back home now, Michael. Something that does, you know, triggered my thought is, I remember back in the last Olympics, you know, the COVID Olympic that was now done in 2021, we saw how it was difficult. I mean, you know, these qualifications are not just ones or a one-off stuff. After Bahamas, we're going to see all that relay, to see teams that have not qualified, still battling to see they can qualify, you know. And Nigeria getting this for the first time, you know, picking the qualification in the first relay, it shows that something has really changed in our athletics activities. And the last time, it took us down to even the competitions that was held in Africa, the you know, organized relay competition to see if we can pick the ticket. Yet, our men 4x400 were unable to pick the ticket. And from what I've seen now, picking these 4 tickets in the first World Relay race or qualification, it shows that the Athletics Federation have really done something lovely. And we need to really pay some, you know, attention to the things that have been done that has gotten them to this level. So the question is, what do you think have changed from the last preparation to what we are seeing now?
I think a lot have changed, because in this year's edition, there have been a lot of emphasis on the welfare of athletes. And that is the reason why most of the athletes, you saw some other athlete, there's a US-based athlete that was built to nationalize for United States of America, but, you know, he she changed her mind and took part in this 13th All-African game out there in Ghana. It simply tells you there is a change in narrative, because right now I think the welfare of athletes is being paid attention to, unlike what it used to be in the past, that nobody cares unless maybe you find your way through to the top out there, possibly, you know, make the nation proud before you be singled out for praise and honor. But then I think there is a deliberate and intentional plan right now to cater for the welfare of athletes, and that is why most of the athletes is giving out their best out there to ensure that the flag of Nigeria very high out there. And of course, since then we've seen a number of names, you know, coming out from the shores of the country, making the nation proud, making the continent of Africa proud. The likes of Esebrume, Toby Amoshun, Consider Ekanem, Chukwebuka and Nekwachi, to mention but a few. These are some of the big names that have not just made only Nigeria proud, but have made the continent of Africa proud. So they deem it necessary to pay much attention this time around to the welfare of athletes, and that is why most of their athletes, they are giving out their best out there. And it is very simple. The message is very simple, that whenever you take a deliberate and intentional, you know, thought or plan towards helping to improve the welfare of sportsmen and women, they will in return give you the best of their effort. That is what it simply means. So for me, if they can continue in this fine stride, I tell you, the sky is going to be our starting point.
The sky is going to be our starting point, and of course, on the business side of sports, we'll also do it to also look at some of these happenings. And of course, the business end of every sport is we get to see the athletes turn out medals and also do so in the various competition. But before we move to, I go for a short break. It looks like the Nigerian Olympic Committee are also looking so well, and there seems to be the adjustment to review age-long constitution. So the question is, what are these moves and what are the adjustments that to be made by the Nigerian Olympic Committee as so announced?
For me, I think there are so many. There are so many. For 21 years, they have not actually reviewed such constitution. And in 21 years from now, there is a change in narrative, a change in pattern of things. For me, there are some things that may not be inserted in that constitution then that they need for it now need to be improved. Maybe trying to make it as a law that the welfare of athletes must be taken care of. Possibly monthly payment for the athlete is not there, you know, in the previous constitution. So these are things that they need to also totally overhaul the constitution and try to look for a way to balance it with the reality of the present time that we find ourselves. 21 years backward, I think that is obsolete, because there are new trend that is popping up, and you cannot use such new trend, I mean the old trend of the old constitution, to solve some of this developing you know, trend that is happening right now. And that is the reason why they have actually postponed the date that they were due to submit their report out there, because they want to have a holistic view where they will throw the door open so that every member will give their own input and say, yes, if we do this, if we add this to the constitution, I think it's going to improve a lot. And that is why they are not in a hurry, you know. So for me, I think it is very, very necessary that we make everything possible to ensure that we align ourselves and the constitution of the AFN with the current reality in the world of sport as it is happening right now. Unlike the olden days, 21 years ago is not 21 days. A whole lot of things have changed, and we need to also evolve the new the AFN constitution with the economic reality and other sporting reality that have also developed in this, 2024.
And away from that, weightlifter Alexandra Pelichenko, who of course competed highly for Ukraine and at the Rio 2016 Olympic, has died during the conflict with Russia. Two-time European champion Polishenko, who is 30 years of age, joined the army force soon after Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. According to the National Olympic Committee of Ukraine, Polishenko died in frontline. The Ukrainian Weightlifting Federation added, and this is not a cheering news at all, he should be preparing to represent Ukraine. Unfortunately, his life has been cut short. This is not a cheering at all for such a player.
Very, very disheartening news at this point in time. We pray, that God grant their family the fortitude to bear their irreparable loss. But then, I think for me, this is not a cheering news. Going to the war front as part and parcel of his national assignment as his loyalty to his country, how the sportsman leaving his field where he's familiar with to pick up the gun so as to defend the integrity of his country. It tells you a lot about what these people passed through out there. I think for me it's a quite disheartening one. This is not thing that we should be heard of, that a sportsman leaving his field just to protect the integrity of his country, to protect the image of his country. Out there, he went to the theater of war and could not come back. I mean, this is very, very sad at this moment. And I believe that the international bodies also looking into this one. And Russia, they must be called to order, because I think this has gone for a quite long time. I believe by now they should have been able to resolve that, that fracas that they are having, that conflict. But then it seems unabated over the years, that this conflict has been ongoing between Russia and Ukraine. I think it's a sad one. At some point in time, we heard that most of their key boxers are there, was even willing to pick up, the arms and ammunition to go to the war front to defend their integrity. This is to show you the love that one have for his or her country. Are they very, very impressive? And I think for me, he died gallantly. But then, this is not. This kind of thing should not be heard of.
This kind of thing should not be heard of. And with that, now, go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll head straight to football matters here. This is Sports Talk on Atlantic Television Network. Don't go anywhere.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
From the line.
All right, welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, it is Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and I have Mike here. We're still running the package this morning, and of course, it's time to talk football matters. I will start with the Nigeria Premier Football League, where there was a game played yesterday in Ikene Remo, and it was all out for Rivers United, who lost that particular one, and the Jeans, stared in their face. Rivers United had expected that, okay, we'll partly that, but every team in the MPFL knows that going to Remo to pick a point, it can be very difficult at home, because Remo are also contending for the title.
Definitely, and it was a long jinx that was awaited, because I think Remo Stars have not had the better of Rivers United for a quite long time right now. But then, like they say, that records are meant to be broken, and that is what Remo Stars did yesterday against Rivers United, who was also hoping to get all 3 points so as to help them move up the ladder from 13th position that they are seated right now. But then, they actually scored first. Rivers United scored first, even in the first half. So we thought maybe it's going to be a goal galore. One point adrift of Enugu Rangers, who is topping the league with 55 points. Remo Stars is on 54 points right now, while Enyimba is seated third on 53 points right now. So for me, I think it was an impressive victory for Remo Stars. Let's hope that they'll continue to fight from all fronts till the last day of the season to see if they can be able to come top in that very one, because I tell you, this season NPFL League has been very, very competitive, where we have about 5 teams contending for the title, going for the jugular to the last end of the season. The likes of Enugu Rangers, Remo Star, Plateau United, Enyimba. These are teams that are also contending for the title. So for me, I think it was a good victory and a sweet one for Remo Star. But then for Rivers United, not a good one at all.
Of course, not a good one for Rivers United. And with this now, Remo are 1 point close to table toppers and Enugu Rangers, putting more pressure on them. And it looks like at this point now it's even more difficult to say anything can happen, because after match 32, we still have like 6 more games to play, to ensure that the league comes to a successful conclusion. And that brings the question, we're going to see a lot of drama after 1 month, after Rivers United are done with their games. But away from that, let's talk more about Lobby Stars. And Lobby Stars players are not happy because in their campus day, the players of Lobby Stars break their silence for the first time as they resolve not to train or participate in any club activity till their 2 months outstanding salaries were paid.
I think this is another disappointing news, because for me, a player's salary being owed for 2 good months. How do you expect them to survive? And they have been training day in, day out. They have been playing games, competitive games, not just friendly games. Even in friendly games, you need to eat. You need to take care of yourself before you can give out your best. 2 good months, they are not paid of their entitlement. How do you want these players to survive? And they were due to have a meeting with the deputy governor, who also oversees some of their affairs out there. But then the deputy governor failed to turn up in that very one. So they just deemed it necessary to go on an indefinite strike until their entitlement is being paid to them. And for now, as it stands, they are also calling that the governor should wade into the issue and try to see if he can also remedy the situation. But I tell you, it's not a good news at all. It's not a cheery news that a player has been playing, has been training for 2 good months, and nothing has been paid to them. How do you want them to survive? These are some of the issues that we don't always want to hear in the Nigerian Premier Football League.
Some of the issues that we don't want to hear in the Nigerian Premier Football League, and that will stray later on. But away from that, let's talk about one defender. Owana Asuko has won the Yimba's Player of the Month. And when you win the Player of the Month, there is this cheery news, because he won 60% of the vote cast by the club supporters. And this is lovely. I mean, if other clubs can copy this, it will be fine. I mean, encourage your players. Apart from what we are seeing the league bloggers doing in the league, let's also see what we can also churn out. I mean, each club should have best defender, best striker, or best player. I mean, best player of the month. That makes it a bit more fun, because whether you're a defender, you're a goalkeeper, you have the advantage of, if your performance is rated. And this is happening because the club have, a percentage of fans that they can call their own.
I think this is the way to go. This is what is being done in a developed climate. Where every month the supporters also come up.
Yeah, we've seen this in the English Premier League and other Western leagues.
It's been done every month out there. So for me, and it is another avenue for some of the teams here to use it as a parameter to evaluate the strength of their support base out there. How many fans do we have? Do we really have fans at all? What are the official social media handle that their fans can be carried along? These are things you do to be able to carry the fans along. By this, the fans will feel as if they are part and parcel of the team. But because if you don't have the fans contributing their own quarter in their own little way, how do you want the fans to turn out in your home game to support you? So for me, I think it's a nice one. I hope that other teams as well in the country will also toe this line, because it's a very positive one. They can also use it as a parameter, like I said earlier, to measure their fan base out there, to see if do we truly have fans out there. Because some of them will claim that their fans did this, but at the end of it all, you discover that it's an audio fan. They don't even have fans, because some of them don't even have any credible way where they can be able to garner the opinion or get the opinions of their fans out there. These are things that a professional club for that matter, must do. It must, open a platform where you get to hear a feedback from your fans, and by so doing you carry them along in your next home game. They want to come out in mass to support you because they know they are being carried along. They are part and parcel of the team. Some time ago, the Chelsea Football Club fans across the globe, they came together and wrote a letter to the board, to the owner, talking about Todd Bowley, telling Todd Bowley that they are not happy, that they are not being carried along. They don't know what actually is happening with Chelsea, the way they go about their transfer policies, their financial record. They don't know, and of course the authority listened to to the board. So for me, I think this is a cheering news.
Very cheering there, and that cheering news now takes us now to England, but it wasn't all cheering for if you're a fan of Manchester United, because yesterday at the Selhurst Park it was rain of gold, and with this now Manchester United have created a new history in the English Premier League. Take us through all the players that yesterday at the Selhurst Park, because I know for sure that it was not, it was, I mean, a particular man was really bemused at the touchline, and the question of what has gone wrong with Manchester United continues, especially at the tail end of the season.
It was such a disappointing, scene to look at yesterday. Looking at my screen, seeing Manchester United, fumbling in front of the Crystal Palace home fan who were very, very raucous yesterday. I mean, it was a total disaster for Manchester United. You saw how Michael Olise was just playing with them as though it was like a normal training. And their defense line, no thanks to injury, they have also ravaged their defense line. That is why we saw Casemiro partnering with Johnny Evans as 5 and 6, and he saw how dirty Casemiro was meant to look yesterday, because of the way Crystal Palace player had to make him suffer for the entire duration of the game. 4 goals to nothing. I think for me was a disastrous outing for Manchester United, and thereby creating another bad record for Manchester United. 81 goals conceded so far. This is the first in their history since 1976. For a single season, Manchester United conceded 81 goals. Then again, for a single season, Manchester United have lost 13 Premier League games in a single season. This is to tell you how poor it was for them yesterday. They find it difficult even to get into the 18-yard box of Crystal Palace yesterday. And you saw the way their defense line was shaped yesterday was a total disaster. Most of those goals that came in is courtesy of a defensive error. You saw the first one from Johnny Evans, where Matete just breezed past over him. Then the last goal that was very, very disappointing, you saw Casemiro, where he actually made that mistake inside his own 18-yard box, thereby allowing the Crystal Palace player to drift the ball off his foot and square the pass to Michael Olise, and he got the second goal. I think for me it was just a disarray for Manchester United, especially when they are battling to see if they can get an European spot ahead of Chelsea. This is a Chelsea team that was seated in 12th position at some point, while Manchester United was seated 6th, and there were these talks that Chelsea is going to finish in the 12th position. But fortuitously, Chelsea have toppled Manchester United right now as it stands. So for me, this is to conclude how bad, how disastrous the season had been for Manchester United. And one we ask, what are they even struggling to get an European spot for? Because if they get a slot, it's going to be a waste for Manchester, for English clubs.
But it depends. It depends on the target of each club at the end of the season. So it's better to be in Europe. They're just saying that it is better to be in Europe, because being part of the European season makes you have extra chunk, an extra fan base, and an extra continental attention. So maybe that yearning to just be part of Europe, and the fact that you're going to travel, everything will not be home base, could just be the case.
For me, it makes no sense that you got an European ticket and you went out there to disgrace England the way Manchester United did this season. In the Champions League,
all the teams disgraced England. All the team disgraced England.
But Manchester United, when it was way beyond disgrace, in fact, it was a total humiliation. In a group where you houses the likes of Copenhagen, the likes of Galatasaray and Bayern Munich, people tipped Manchester United and Bayern Munich to qualify from that group. But Manchester United came bottom of that group, not just coming bottom, but considered the most goal in their history in the UEFA Champions League. conceding as much as 15 goals, buying out of the competition in the group stage, seated rock bottom in the table. I mean, for me, it was a disastrous season for Manchester United. I just hope that Eric Ten Hag will be retained so that he continue to build, because he said that he want to build. He said that he want to continue to fight. I don't know who he's fighting with, whether it is the Manchester United player or he's fighting to finish maybe in the sixth position, which, looking at it right now, is even a bigger mountain for them to climb, because their next game is going to be Arsenal at Old Trafford. If Crystal Palace can dismantle Manchester United 4 goals to nothing, this is a Crystal Palace that is not looking for the title. They just want to finish in a very respectable position in the league. Arsenal is fighting for the title, and Crystal Palace turned Manchester United 4 goals to nothing. Imagine if this same Arsenal that is blazing, that is firing from all cylinders, meet this same Manchester United. I mean, it's going to be a total disaster for them.
But not against our like, and that's what someone...
I agree. But then, looking at their injury worries right now, I do not see Manchester United, standing the pressure of the Gunners in this very one.
Let's see how it goes on, but not to challenge if a West Ham fan, because it looks like Moyes, David Moyes will be leaving the side at the end of this season.
Yeah, it has been announced. Very, very official. David Moyes, he will be leaving at this point in time. I think he has given his best for West Ham United. After 42 years, he was able to give them an European trophy, massive one, better than Arsenal, because Arsenal, they've never won. So I think he has done a great job. At the mid-table, at the mid-season, rather, you saw how West Ham were blazing from all front. The likes of Luka Paqueta, the likes of Mohamed Kudus, they were very, very good. But in their last 10 games right now, it has been very, very disastrous. They have just managed to win 1 out of their last 10 games, and that is why the authority deemed it necessary to relieve him of his appointment, as he'll be stepping down at the end of the season. We hear that Julian Lopetegui is also rumored to be the man that is going to take the baton of leadership from David Moyes. So for me, I wish West Ham well. I wish David Moyes well as well in his next endeavor, because he has actually done a lot for this West Ham United team.
Done a lot for the West Ham United team. And before we look at other trending stories, very captain Virgil van Dijk is very optimistic that he will be part of the transition after the departure of manager Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, he said because of the love that he has for the club. Despite Jurgen Klopp leaving at the end of the season, he wants to still stay and continue to rebuild with Liverpool. Whichever coach that comes in is ready to work with the coach, and I think for me, it tells you the love and passion that this man have for Liverpool. I think it has been an incredible debut for Virgil van Dijk for Liverpool. He has been very, very instrumental to Liverpool's success since the era of Jurgen Klopp, and deciding to stay even after Jurgen Klopp leaves, I think it's a good choice. It's a good one for both him and Liverpool.
Good one for both him and Liverpool. And if you are a strong supporter of club football at the continent, the UEFA Champions League is what we are looking up now to, and a lot to happen, today. It looks like the UEFA Champions League semi-final. PSG Dortmund today, it promises to be a cracker.
Definitely, it promises to be a cracker, with the first leg ending 1-0 in favor of Dortmund at the Signal Iduna Park. They'll be traveling to Paris to match with Kylian Mbappe's side. I think for me, it's going to be a very big one tonight, because PSG, we've seen them overturn that first leg deficit of 3-1 to Barcelona. They did the unthinkable at the Barcelona home out there, where they actually overturned that very one, winning it 4 goals to 1, going through. I think for me it's going to be a great one. Also, considering the fact that Kylian Mbappe will be leaving at the end of this season, I think he will want to also lift the holy grail for this Paris side. Then again, for their coach, talking about Luis Enrique, is one man who also has Champions League experience. He's won it with Barcelona. So with this level of consistency we've seen, because as it is right now, the Ligue 1 is already in their bag. They are also gunning for the treble this season. And for me, looking at all indices, I can tell you for free that Paris Saint-Germain will definitely overturn that result tonight, because Parc des Princes is not a place that you can go and come back smiling. And looking at the way Dortmund squandered their chances in the first leg,